I can promise you that if you're an introvert, this video is going to be one of the most valuable videos that you can watch. So please watch to the end because I have a lot of different topics to cover, a lot of different things to share. You can just put this honestly at like a 1.5 speed to get through all of it, but I recommend that you go through all of the video because I'm going to be sharing a lot of different diverse topics and perspectives around introversion, and it's going to be pretty valuable. Hello starseeds, welcome to Source Energetics. My name is Ashtara, mission to bring you some of the highest frequency content that is a fact. And today I have the ultimate YouTube video ever made, perhaps, on mastering the art of introversion. And if there is one of the things that I could teach the best, I believe this is one of it. And I just wanted to share this with you just as a heartfelt present for you if you are one of those introverts that haven't really figured it out how to really truly thrive as an energetically sensitive, extremely high density introvert. And there's not really many guidelines out there or like a very critical set of systems around how to approach this, not just as an introverted human, but as an introverted starseed or a highly sensitive empath. And I don't really want to say the word empath, but I think that's a lot of the ways that people can relate to this. The reason why I feel very qualified to talk about this is because I'm probably like one of the most intense introverts in terms of that's just how my energetic body functions and operates, at least for this phase of my incarnation. Like, who knows, maybe in 10 years that'll change. I'm never the one to close off possibilities, but for the vast majority of my life, I've just been noticing, I've experientially realized that my highest level of connectedness and energetic recuperation and rejuvenation and amplification of my authentic energy comes from being alone. And depending on the crowd, whether it's the right people or not, I just need alone space. Of course, I can feel charged from certain interactions, but I can take it in doses and then I still need to recalibrate. And this is just one of the things, like, for example, if you have an Ayurvedic dosha, it's just very helpful to follow those guidelines. Not to live that as a Bible, but just to understand how your energy renders itself on this reality and how to best support it. So the ways that you can tell that if you're a true introvert is obviously if you feel drained after interacting with certain people, or you can also observe, like, do you work best when you're alone or do you work best when you're talking things out with people? When does your highest performance show up? When are the moments in your reality that you felt the most connected with the divine? And for me, majority of that happens to be when I'm alone in my own space. And I'm also, in case you don't know who I am, just randomly stumble across this video, I'm extremely psychic, for the lack of a better word. I'm extremely sensitive to energy. I would say that I perceive energy as vividly as most humans perceive color and hear sounds and taste food. My energetic perception of subtle energies is that vivid, if not more vivid than the 5 sensory perceptions that humans are used to navigating with. I'm extremely sensitive to energy, and that's why I could kind of clear out these dynamics, and I have an ability to think critically. Critical thinking is one of my gifts, and so that's how I created these kind of frameworks to consider to thrive as an introvert. And the first thing that you need to do is forget everything about what people have said about being human and what is needed. I know that scientists will say that humans are social creatures and they absolutely need social interactions to survive. It's unhealthy not to socialize often. And all of those things are only true to a degree, and you need to understand the clear perspectives around that so that you don't just assume things, and you can update those theories with what it's like to be an energetically sensitive empath or a starseed or a hybrid, an extraterrestrial hybrid. It's a little bit different for people that have all these hyperdimensional sensory perception. So that's what I'm gonna break down. I made myself a cup of ceremonial cacao. It's my first time making actual ceremonial grade cacao by myself. I didn't realize how easy it was. You just take the bar and you like shave it off and then you put it in water. I thought it was like super complicated. I thought you had to like boil it, but you just put it in hot water and it melts. I have no idea why I'm telling you this, but maybe cacao is really important. Obviously, it's a heart-opening plant. I love drinking cacao. I drink this multiple times a day if I have access to it. And maybe that's one of the most medicinal plants to consume if you're an introvert. Just connecting with that self-love with the cacao and setting the intention. This was not part of the plan to talk about cacao, but it's just coming up. Number one is self-care and beauty. So even though I'm alone majority of the time and there's not really mostly places to go or people to see, usually I am just going out for small errands or I'm just staying at home and I'm just looking at myself. And yeah, sometimes I'm filming. Obviously, when I'm filming something or having client meetings or whatever, then other people perceive my appearance. But for the majority of the time, I am just alone. Nobody's looking at me. However, I believe it is very, very important to look your best, take care of yourself, groom yourself, and look pretty or handsome, whatever, if you're a man, and wear nice clothes, even if you're just staying at home alone all day. Like, if you were to catch me just chilling by myself on any regular day and I'm not filming, I'm still wearing really nice clothes like this, like comfortable goddess pants, like really cute top. Sometimes I'm wearing accessories still. I don't necessarily have makeup on, but I still look cute. My hair is cute. And it's because you have to look good for yourself. Like, you want to look in the mirror and see the reflection of yourself and you want to feel your best. And if you just let that slip, you'll always look not your best, like not your highest potential. And it's really important for your self-image. That's one of the key things, that if you're an introvert and you just stay home all day, even if it's just for a weekend, you just stay home all day and you just don't care how you look, you should look good for yourself. You're a conscious awareness running through a human vessel. You are divine consciousness. You are divine awareness. Like, you are awareness. You witnessing yourself is very sacred. You are this divine awareness interacting with this human embodiment of your own expression, and you should present yourself in the best way possible to yourself. It's an honor to witness yourself and honor to express yourself in the most beautiful way possible. So take care of yourself, do your skincare routine, do your hair routine, whatever. Self-care is such a beautiful ritual. I believe that's one of the key things for an introvert is don't just wear whatever clothes that you think is not pretty, because eventually you just won't ever end up wearing your nicest clothes. Everybody has some sort of a version they would like to become, whether that is like a more successful version of yourself, more wealthy version of themselves, more beautiful, more fit version of themselves. Everyone has this aspiration of improvement. And what you're meant to do is literally start living there. So when you like encounter yourself, you want to always wear like your nice as possible, instead of like a raggedy t-shirt that, I mean, I love big t-shirts. I have really cool t-shirts, but they're like nice quality, really cool t-shirts that still look aesthetically pleasing. I never have like wear just whatever clothes anymore. I used to when I was maybe in high school and whatever, but now it's like I make it a point, and I want to, when I go to the washroom and there's all these mirrors, I want to look at myself and feel like, wow, I look good. I feel good. And if I don't do that, then I'll always look bad because I don't really go out. It doesn't have to be for other people. It has to be for yourself. Even if you don't have a partner, even if you don't have people living with you and watching, just look good in default. And it's good for your calling in your next version of yourself, like having more self-respect for yourself. Like subconsciously, you're always taking in how you look, and maybe conscious level, you know, you're always the same person, but subconsciously you will catch glimpses of yourself, and then you'll start to accumulate your default kind of level, and you want that to be the best version of yourself. Dress nice. Like, I mean, when you have gone to the next milestone and you what really truly anchor in the next level, you'll probably start looking way nicer. That's just how things flow. You'll probably dress nicer. You probably won't be saving all of your nice clothes for some special occasion. Every day is a special occasion. Wear something nice every day. Wear something that makes you the most beautiful every day. Make it a point. That is my tip number one for effective introversion. And here's the thing. People have this cringy thing about vanity or beauty, but if you look at flowers, they are so beautiful because beauty is a quality of the divine. Not the type that is like fake and just empty, but substantial beauty that arises from the alignment of divinity. When a physical form is aligned to divinity, it becomes beautiful. Like the physical expression is beautiful. Take a look at flowers, take a look at nature, and take a look at your favorite crystals. They are all beautiful from divine alignment. And so are you. You are beautiful, and the more divinely aligned you are, the more beautiful you become. And it doesn't have to be anywhere comparable to this social standards, but it's just like this authentic beauty that radiates from your soul. As long as it is done from a place of authentic expression rather than trying to impress people, but if it's truly done from a place of heart-centered expression, then it makes everybody happy. Second tip that I have for effective introversion, and this is probably one of the most important, crucial, critical pieces, is to get body work and massage. And I have met a lot of people who say, I don't really like when people touch me. I don't like getting a massage. But to me, I can't relate. You don't like getting a massage? I mean, like, right? What? The thing is, if you don't like to get a massage, I think that the highly likely chances are that you didn't go to a very high frequency masseuse in the times that you did try them. I honestly think you probably had bad experiences with the wrong people that you didn't resonate with. You got to find in resonance and alignment a true healer. You know, body work and massage is healing. And when you find the right therapists, massage therapists, even if they're not spiritual at all, if they're gifted in their work, they're a healer in their own way. So it's really like getting a healing session. It is so healing and so necessary, especially for higher dimensional starseeds. It is one of the most grounding ways to connect with your physical body, to receive this body work that is so healthy for you. It is so healthy for you. I honestly get it sometimes once a week, sometimes once every 2 weeks, but usually once a week, sometimes even more. If I'm in Bali, it's just like twice a week, I'll go for it. Honestly, it's it's a thing here. And it's an incredible massage therapist here. I understand in like certain parts of the world, it's not as accessible, but you know, if you go to Bali, you can literally get some of the most incredible massage for like $20 an hour. The reason why this is so important, especially for introverts, is because you need this serotonin that is released from physical touch. And this is the one scientific biological thing. If you ever heard of like the monkey thing, where they made an experiment with these monkeys, they found out that the monkeys, they needed physical affection from their mothers more than they needed food. Like physical touch is very important on a biological level. I don't necessarily agree with the people saying that humans are social creatures and they really need to socialize as often as they make it seem. Like that to me is like, I'm going to discuss this later, why that is not necessarily all true. But when it comes to this physical touch and the serotonin that gets released, getting a massage is like a complete hack into getting the permission slip to be a complete introvert in this day and age. And you can literally create this pathway to thrive as an introvert. One of the keys is getting a massage regularly, especially if you're celibate, especially if you don't have a partner, which majority of the case is like mine. I usually don't really have somebody that I'm dealing with unless I'm in a relationship, which I'm not anymore. I used to be. Well, I have a couple of people here and there. It's so funny. Why am I going into this? But usually I'm such a nomad and I travel alone. I just have no interest in traveling with somebody. And that's just my introversion. So most of the time, even if I have a significant someone, I'm usually doing something long distance for a good chunk of the year. You know what I mean? And I'm just not the type of person that will have casual affairs. Like, that's just not compatible for my level of energy or my level of consciousness. It just doesn't work out that way for me. Believe me, I've tried them and they just don't work, because the person will fall in love with me and then I will catch feelings for them too. It just doesn't do the thing. That it just doesn't work. Anyway, the reason why I'm saying this is massage, professional massage, is one of the things that support my lifestyle as an introvert. And I know how important it is for my physical, biological vessel to feel nurtured, to feel cared for, to feel this healing magic of the human affection. And it's like, you get to just pay somebody for an hour to do that for your physical body without any emotional attachments, without any strings. It's just the best conditions possible. How can you say no to that? Like, if you literally like wanted to cuddle with somebody or like have a friend that you can really trust to listen, if you're like one of those extroverts, I really admire those spiritual girls who are like goddess circle, sisterhood, cuddle puddle. My gosh, like that sounds amazing, but it's just not for me, you know? I just go get a massage. So if you're like me, go get a massage. Okay? And you know, if you have like humans, it comes with a lot of emotional attachments and different expectations. Not everyone's on the same level of kind of consciousness that they can really cleanly have these boundaries. So yeah, for me, I love massage. I love finding the right healers for that. Even if you go for any professional massage, there are massage therapists that truly love what they do and they're very gifted. There's gifted massage therapists. But anyway, there's people like that. That's what I'm saying. Go find them and they will assist your lifestyle. This is a hack. It's almost mandatory. And if you're going to tell me, like, I understand there's some people who don't really have the level of budget where they can really invest in this a lot, but I really want to help you rethink this. Reprioritize your budgeting system, because if you're an introvert and you don't really have physical connections with people, getting a massage should be as important as eating food. It is actually very critical. I told you about the monkeys. The baby monkeys who didn't get a motherly affection had a higher level of mortality rates early on than the baby monkeys that didn't have food. Okay. It's so delicious. Cacao is good for you. Number 3 is to go out for small errands. And your mind will tell yourself that you don't need to go. You can just order it online or you can just order it from an app. But make it a point to go out to get either like a lunch or go buy something, go get some groceries, even if you don't really need it, like 100%, maybe you don't, like you could just order it from an app. But make it a point to understand that if you're just staying at home all day, you're not going anywhere, it is very important to just go out for small errands. The reason, first of all, is grid work. Even if you're going to small little places, it is calibrating your field to the greater context of your location. And it is important for your physical vessel and your energetic bodies to calibrate through this shift in location, especially if you're a high density consciousness. Your consciousness is literally running thousands of parallels and kind of filtering itself through the time-space continuum into the human vessel. And if you're just going to stay stationary in one location, it's not very integrative to all these downloads that you're getting all day long. Go for a walk, go to the grocery store, go to the cafe. And I'll tell you something that you might laugh, but you might seriously relate. When I need to ground, I go to the grocery store. Do you know why? The grocery store is a very interesting portal where people of all sorts of age demographic and all sorts of varieties go to the grocery store. Obviously, depending on which grocery store it is, the entire vibes are going to change. And honestly, hopefully you don't have to go to those like really scary bargain grocery stores that have a lot of low frequency people. Try to not go to those, like, because I obviously know I travel in cities, and some cities have really scary grocery stores, but some grocery stores are really nice and new and like more, high frequency ones. Literally, if I receive like a life-changing download and I need to ground quick, I'll go to a grocery store, or even like sometimes I go to a mall, because it's like this vortex of collective energies. And the reason why I like grocery stores in particular is because people go there without an agenda. Like if you go anywhere else, like if you go to the gym, if you go to the cafe, like people usually go with an ulterior motive. Like sometimes people go to the gym to check other people out or try to impress other people, or, like when people go to a cafe, they're like socializing or doing their work. But if you go to a grocery store, nobody goes to the grocery store without an ulterior motive, just rather than to go and get some necessities. And so it's like this very innocent vibe and a collective energy of just like their mundane life. Nothing dark going on in there, like no weird intentions. Everyone's just there to get what they need and go. And so the energy there and the collective energy there, and the reason why I go there to ground is because if I need to, as an introvert, just alone in my space, and I need to go and exchange some consensual codes on the consensus reality with humanity, and I need to go somewhere where there's a lot of codes and a lot of collective energy, grocery store. No other motives, just everyone's just minding their own business. Everyone at the grocery store is minding their own business. So just go, like, take a stroll, buy an apple. Like, maybe I don't need a lot, maybe I don't even need anything, but I'll just go buy a peach. You know what I mean? Like, and your mind will be like, I don't need a peach. Like, I don't really need a peach. But this is about this introversion. Like, don't be stuck in one place. Like, maybe you just need to go and be in the place where there's a lot of other people just minding their own business, and just being in their vicinity is like this integration into the collective field on the first stage level. Do you understand me? And I know some people are probably literally laughing because I just articulated something that you couldn't put a word to, right? And the funny thing is, even if you're going to a cafe to like, you don't really need to go to a cafe to do your work, okay? Like, I can work where I'm staying, where I'm sleeping, where I'm eating. But what I noticed for a couple hours a day, I know I can do the work in the living room. But if I go to a cafe and I'm sitting there, I'm minding my own business, I'm doing my work, and I have something to focus on, meanwhile, I'm able to kind of exchange and pick up other people's codes, which for me is socialization, because I am so hypersensitive to energy. And that's why I say it's not necessarily agreeable when scientists say humans are social creatures. They absolutely need to interact and have friends and have conversations every day. Well, maybe that's for people who are not hypersensitive multidimensional beings who read energy like they read color. Like, I am so sensitive to energy that when I am just like in a room with other people minding their own business and I'm minding my own business, that is socialization, because I pick up the codes and I emit the codes, and it's just, that's social, so social. So this, just going out to the grocery store sometimes is socialization. Going to the cafe and minding my own business, or eating my lunch, even though I don't have to go there, I know I can eat it at home. That for me is socialization. Really energetically, it is socialization for me. So, but doesn't mean, guys, like, don't take it in the wrong way. Doesn't mean that's the end of my socialization. I obviously have people who matter in my life and friends and stuff like that. But I'm just saying, for like the general, what do you call it? The general efficiency of socialization, a lot of my needs are fulfilled with these micro gestures. And just be mindful not to dismiss it mentally, being like, well, I don't need to go. I'm saying small errands are important. Small errands are the socializations that you just may need. And it just like, if you do it enough, it's when people say I'm an introvert, but I don't know how to balance this with loneliness, you're not paying attention to these signals that like maybe you want to go to the park, maybe you want to go to the store, and maybe you just say like I don't need a peach, but it's not about the peach sometimes, you know? It's me again, editing again, looking different in another location, but I just wanted to make sure I put all the proper information in that I forgot to mention in the first video. And it is that some of the most fulfilling connections, actually I experienced them at a proper yoga class. And it doesn't have to be yoga for you if you're not really passionate about that, but make sure you have a hobby that you can practice in a communal setting. And that kind of setting also brings people together for a very specific intention. People don't come to those classes with other intentions. And you don't necessarily have to socialize with other people, but you're partaking in a common interest together, which is very, very harmonious energetically. For example, yoga. I mean, you're not talking to other people, but you are kind of collectively having a moving meditation together and having your own experience. And that, if you go to that kind of regularly, even just once a week or twice a week, that you go to a physical class, and I know you can do it at home. I know you can do it at home, but just go to a proper class. That honestly is one of the most balancing ways to get socialization if you're not really going out doing social things, or if you don't feel like having like a huge extroverted moment. A good proper yoga class, or a good, I don't know what you like an art class or cooking class or something, you know, like something that you like. For me, yoga is really, really energetically 10 out of 10 to socialize. And obviously not just any yoga class, but I find teachers or like a lineage that I truly respect, and the right teachers attract the right crowd. If you go find a real proper yoga teacher that is committed to the craft, devoted to the craft, and I personally love Ashtanga, and Ashtanga is not for the fluff, you know. So usually it attracts like really high vibe people, really proper people who are there for the right reasons. And different yoga classes attract very different people, and it's really interesting. But just find the teachers that you really resonate with and go for the teachers, and then there's going to be other students that are there for the same reason. So obviously I mentioned I do have close friends. Here's something that I've learned over time as a thriving introvert. I've had friends, and usually I found that I have to avoid habitual communication with most people, even if they're my friends. What relationships and what friendships, I'm not talking about romantic relationships, but what friendships work out for me the best is when the people who are closest to me, like my best friend or best friends, who I can count on with my life basically, that are continually friends for years, it works best when they're also introverts. Because what happens if my right-hand person or my best friends are actually extroverts is that they'll end up latching on and parasiting off of my energy. Even if I'm not around, they'll just like text me all day, or they'll just, you know, it's not the best dynamic for me. I mean, I could have extrovert friends, but it has to be at a very strong boundary. But if one of my closest friends is an extrovert, usually they'll just text me all day. You know what I mean? Text me every day, which is fine. Like, I didn't realize that was a big problem, but it becomes a problem because it drains energy, even if it's just texting. And they feed off of interaction. That's why they're texting you. But you don't feed off of interaction. You feed off of solitude. And so it's just not that compatible. You can challenge me. I mean, I'm just sharing what I've learned over time. And I've just learned that those extroverts who just become my friends and then they become really close, they just don't really end up working out, because it ends up becoming like a parasitic energy, unless they are highly aware and they are very respectful of your energy field. But that's pretty rare that somebody is that concerned. Like, they have to be very, very service to others oriented. If they're like a bit selfish, especially, it's not going to work, because they're just going to siphon your field. But I mean, if you've had experience having like really extroverted close friends, that text you every day, you can let me know. But I understand the need to feel like you have a connection. Like texting is a connection. It's an illusion of connection a lot of the times, but it is somewhat of a connection, and people use that to feel less lonely, or but it's just the wrong way. I feel like texting and talking should be done when it is actually important, but not as a habitual means. I feel like that's just, I don't know, for me it's just, but I'm also the type of person who's not on social media every day. I avoid most social media, which I'll talk about later on. So I'm a very rare case. I'm not like most people. But if you're the type of person also like me that stays away from social media, that is extraneous, or then maybe it's gonna work for you. But I find that keeping in touch with text can become very intrusive and kind of take away from your presence of life. Yeah, it is like an entanglement, unless it is an actual lover, like a love partner. That would be a totally different story, because the dynamics are different. Like a lover, if you have a lover that you are keeping in touch with, like a divine union or somebody that you're involved with romantically, the energy is always different than like a friendship. But my advice is avoid habitual communication if you're an introvert, because it will take away from the reason why you're being introverted from the first place. Being introverted from the first place because you are highly charged alone, but texting is kind of like blurring of the boundaries, and you don't really realize until one day you realize that this is draining your energy, because the whole point was to be alone. The whole point was to connect with yourself, and texting is an intrusion into that. It doesn't seem like it at first, because obviously the person is not in your physical space, but they're energetically in your space, and they are, you might as well go out and do things if you're gonna text people all day. But again, same thing goes with social media. And I will tell you, if it is the case that you are texting somebody on a very regular, frequent basis as an introvert, and if you're consuming social media as an introvert, you have to be 10 times more vigilant on who it is. When you are alone all the time, your energy is basically supercharged, hypercharged, and you become a lot more sensitive to what comes in your field, and you're basically sitting on a gold mine. If you're an introvert and you're cultivating your energy, and whatever interaction you have, you should be a lot more mindful. It'll impact you a lot more because you're so sensitive, and they usually say you're the 5 people that you hang out with the most, blah, 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 blah. And you have to understand, when you're introverted, that is a lot more amplified. So if you do keep in touch with somebody on a regular basis and you're communicating with them on a regular basis, make sure it's somebody that you're seriously honored to have in your, like, you would literally seriously be honored to sit there and talk to them for an hour, or you're honored to know them in general. If you're consuming social media, please don't go and watch whatever. Be very mindful who you choose, and for the duration, how long you choose to consume that media. Because if you're an introvert and you're staying home, the energy is going to impact you in terms of the exchange. Choose somebody that is worthy of exchanging the energy with. I know that when you're consuming the social media, it doesn't feel like it's like an exchange, but it is an exchange, because you're letting their frequencies enter into your field and you are kind of absorbing those energies. So if you're just watching nonsense YouTube videos from people who are not really refined, like, just make sure it's somebody that you would actually love to hang out with, or just high quality people only. People whose codes you would love to exchange with. Otherwise, it's just not worth it. The next tip: when you're an introvert and you have an illusion of being lonely, you need to wake up to the interdimensional consciousness that is inherent within you. Quite seriously, imagine if you do a psychedelic that opens you up to that state. For example, if you do like psilocybin or even ayahuasca or something, Do you think you ever feel lonely? No, because you realize you're freaking connected with the entire universe and all these dimensions, and there's no possible way for you to feel lonely. And that's essentially what's going on all the time in your consciousness. You're never alone. And chances are that if you're an introvert, you're very more hypersensitive to these various levels of your consciousness, the various levels of your mind. So make it a point to take the time and space to commune with your interdimensional consciousness and communing with elements. So whether that's water and communing with that very consciously, communing with plants, even though that's not an element, plants are conscious beings. So, like whether it's a flower or the tree, communing with the earth, the grids of the earth breathing under you. Like, how could you feel lonely? How? Fire, air, like when you wake up to how alive everything is, you break free from the illusion of being lonely. How can you be lonely? How? Commune, telepathy. Commune with your guides, really open up to that frequency. And that's essentially why you're more introverted anyway, because you're more open to these hyperspatial realms. So hone in, dig in. Next tip is to choose an aligned line of work. For me, I set up the boundaries of the communications in my work. So whether that is like people that I work with or my clients, I love that interaction. Those are some of my primary interactions, whether it's my mastermind and actually other people's containers that I participate in, because I do consistently learn from other teachers that I love. It's just, I love this whole world, just choosing your line of work that is aligned for you and creating your own boundaries of what feels good. So for example, I communicate a lot with my clients through messenger apps, because that's my favorite way of communicating with people. And there's like a very strong boundary that people respect, because this is also professional, but at the same time, these are very high quality conversations that I get to have with these incredible clients that I am resonating with. And this is part of my socialization. This big part of my socialization that I'm honored to have. Sometimes I'm doing private readings for people. Sometimes I have like the more personal mentorship type of grid, which I love because it's a very fulfilling conversation that I get to have and be of service in that way. Obviously, I have YouTube, Patreon, and this is a social interaction. Even when I put out a video and then there's all these comments, it just seems like I'm putting out a video, but there's this comments. But energetically speaking, that is a social sharing, a social interaction, an expression, and receptivity. And so choosing your aligned line of work in designing that social interaction to your own terms essentially is very amazing way to be an introvert that you can aspire to. If you're not doing that yet, just know that this is something that you can create in your life, the right structure. Of course, next tip is virtual community. So again, Starseed Energetics is a virtual community, being part of a virtual grid, a virtual community. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to actually interact with them all the time. Like I'm in masterminds where I'm not even participating in a conversation, but energetically speaking, I'm in a community and I am sensitive enough to feel when I'm in part of a community, I don't necessarily have to go and physically interact, but there is this grid. There's this energetic resonance with a community, a high vibe community. So virtual community is always amazing to have, whether it is like a Patreon community again, or mastermind, or just being part of a network that is very conscious. For example, you see on this YouTube channel, Source Energetics. So that's another thing. Next tip I have is to travel and change locations. And this is applicable for a lot of grid workers. And even if you're like in one city, just make it a point to change your location and change your environment, change your setting, get an Airbnb somewhere, even if it's like literally 1 hour away only or 2 hours away only. Just change your shifting frequencies around of the environment, because on a higher level, as a high density conscious being, changing location is actually socialization, because you're tuning into the various collective energy of each point of the grid. And that is an exchange in codes and energy, which is socialization on a higher level. So this is like for obviously very, very advanced souls, right? Like regular humans will just think I'm crazy if I say this, but if you're on this level, you know what I mean. When you go into a different location, go into a different city, go into a different country, even if you're going down the block, even 10 minutes, the collective energy of the neighborhood is completely different. Not only the grid of the land, but the collective of the people. And that is socialization, my friend, energetically speaking. So if you're that level of subtle energy is active, then that is socialization. And I move around all the time. I'm a grid worker, so I follow the request of the Earth's grid. I move around according to what the land grids ask of me. I know it sounds puzzling to some people, or maybe not at all. Maybe you think this is very normal because this is my community, but the traveling and the shift in frequencies of the community of the geolocational grid is socialization for me. And that's big part of my reason why I'm able to consistently support my own lifestyle as an extreme introvert, is I'm changing locations all the time and therefore kind of resonating with various different social energy. Then the next tip I have is professional small talk. Hiring professionals is important. Not only because professional dynamics are amazing, but because it supports very healthy socialization with strong boundaries. Obviously, I have my healers. I love getting healing sessions. They're usually changing quite frequently, face to face. And then I just have some healers that I have consistently. And let me tell you, like, a lot of people confuse the role of a friend with a professional. Like, your friend most likely shouldn't be a therapist for you or a healer. Like, it shouldn't be just like that. Like, don't expect your friends to be your therapist. And I understand, like, yes, I have friends who deeply care, and sometimes they're the only people that I would turn to for specific guidance. But for a lot of other things, I try not to load personal relationships with this level of professional space holding. So when you actually have these professional mentors or guides or coaches or therapists, whatever, label, it is a very, very high level form of socialization that is so pristinely effective for an introvert. Again, it doesn't come with emotional ties. Nobody is going to expect something from you. It is a very clean exchange of energy, and you get this very high quality socialization out of it. It is one of those hacks. And if you are in a position where financially you can't necessarily afford these types of professional healers and professional kind of guides, then this is something that you can aspire to create and manifest in your life. And you just communicate with your guides. These are one of the reasons why I would like to manifest more money. Like, you give them these reasons that are very soul-based and very supportive of your system, and just trust it'll align for you because this is of your highest good. Like, these, you need to communicate some of the reasons why you are meant to be aligned with more abundance, more income, more prosperity, without just being vague. It is very helpful to communicate to them, do you see, I'm an introvert. I want to be of service by being my highest frequency, and having this type of mentorship or coaches or guidance is going to assist me. Thank you, guides. These are some of the things that you can request and it'll align. Other things, other professionals, honestly, obviously I'm a girl, so sometimes I get my nails done, sometimes I get my eyelashes done, even though like right now I have no eyelashes on. But I usually love having false eyelashes. I get haircuts or it's just little things like this. And we get to have these small talk. And, if I have the same nail artist for like a few weeks straight, the small talk can evolve to a more deeper talk. But there's always like this clean boundary. The thing with introverts is you need very clear boundaries, because when people are not introverts, or when they're not so high frequency as you probably are, boundaries are so important. Like, protect your energy. And some of these professional relationships, like even if it's your nail artist, or even if it's your like hairstylist or lash artist or whatever, Uber driver, or it just provides this like really open-hearted connection. As long as they're just good people, they don't have to be like spiritual people. Like, even if they're just regular good people, like a heartfelt conversation that you can have with a good person who is driving your Uber for 30 minutes can be a very fulfilling social interaction. And it doesn't come with strings. It doesn't come with codependency. It doesn't come with emotional attachments. It's a very pristine, like, I love professional relationships for that reason. Even like when I had a personal trainer who would guide me through exercises, or like a yoga instructor, they become like this very high level professional relationship. And no one's gonna try to text you or ask for advice or drain your energy later. Professional dynamics are very, very underrated. People just think like, oh no, it's like just because some money's involved, it's like not a true relationship. I'm like, well, the professionalism is a very clean boundary. But when you're open-hearted and you attract these good people, literally like the person helping you with the most minuscule things, maybe like find an item at a grocery store even. Like, I keep talking about a grocery store. I love a good grocery store run. But that's literally because I've had experiences where I remember I was in Korea, and I did a lot of healing in Korea. This is where my motherland. I'm genetically fully Korean. I was born there until I was 12, and then I moved to Toronto. And some of my deepest phases of healing after, these phases of dark nights of the soul have been taking place in Korea. I would stay there for like a month or two with my dad who lives there, and I would just have these profound pockets of healing. And the grocery stores there are super amazing. It's like a freaking department store, but groceries. It's just clean, high tech, like everything is fresh, like amazing. I remember I was like at the aisle to buy like a can of tuna, and there was this older lady working at the grocery store. There's just this way that Koreans are, but she was just like a little bit too shy to approach me, but she was just standing next to me, not even looking at me, but she was telling me, this brand of tuna tastes a lot more delicious. And then she just kind of like walked away, but I could just feel her benevolence. Like, who cares? You know what I mean? Who cares if I'm buying another brand? And like, it's not like she's trying to sell the other brand. She just literally wanted to tell me, and I could swear like I was gonna cry. And I'm telling you, these moments of human interactions when your heart is open, and it doesn't matter, it doesn't have to be somebody that you knew for 10 years to have this kind of interaction. And it's all in all just an interaction between you and your universe. It doesn't have to be from a specific group of people. It doesn't have to be people that you knew from when you were a child. I mean, you could have the most profound interaction dynamics, and you don't have to get attached. I don't have to feel like, well, that was such a beautiful interaction that I need to find out her name. I need to get her number. No, I just experience it, let it flow. I release it. And there's going to be 10 more next year, from different people, but it's the same expression of the universe. So just don't be attached to having these continual relationships and kind of attaching yourself to some group of people because you're craving this type of connection. You could literally experience the most heartwarming connection with people that you meet in a second. Like people that you've known just for a second that maybe you won't even ever see again. And I've had these interactions over and over and over because that's just, I attract good people, and I'm not attached to continual clinging to somebody and their identity in order for them to show up in a certain way, because the entire universe is my ally. Okay, let's think. Oh, what is really important is when you are alone all the time by yourself, especially at home, it's very important to practice like toning or vocal toning or just talking. So for example, I'm just home a lot and then I record this video and then I'm talking for a freaking hour, and maybe you're not making content, maybe you are, but if not, vocal tone, express yourself. I don't care if you're like turning on the camera to talk to yourself, maybe like have a journal, video journal, or maybe you can sing, like you can literally sing, put on your favorite music and start singing for like 30 minutes. Practice your vocal toning and watch something funny so you could laugh. I think one of the issues with introverts could be that they don't really laugh out loud because they are afraid of looking crazy, or maybe even talk to yourself. But laughing is important, so just laugh. Like, it's very important to laugh. And when you're just maybe home by yourself, you feel like it's crazy to do that. So then watch something funny. Watch something funny where maybe there's like the audience crowd laughing and then you feel more comfortable to laugh. If that's what makes you happy, then do that. There's something called laughing yoga, so you can do that. Or if you just, talk to somebody on the phone and then you want to laugh about it, you can laugh. But laughing is very therapeutic and it's something that you should express every day. So that could be one of the reasons why you might feel very off if you're just spending so much time alone. It might be that you're not laughing. Laughing is an expression that is critical, like that joy frequency and that, innocent, childful playfulness. So make it a point to either watch something funny or just start laughing. Doesn't matter. Your body doesn't know the difference. That's like, you have to learn how to kind of work with your biological intelligence. But laughing is a very therapeutic way of expressing yourself and also expressing your voice, so that you're not just like sitting at home not talking all day. That might be why you feel off if you're alone all the time. But again, sing or practice spoken word to yourself or record a video. Even if no one's gonna watch it, just start rambling and talk to yourself. Okay, and again, the point is to express your vocal cords, which is healthy for you. Or you can even do like humming or toning or chanting mantras. Obviously, those are other options. That should have been one of the first things I said. You could chant mantras, and that's not going to make you feel crazy if you don't want to sing. But singing is amazing. But yeah, you can chant mantras. You can chant Om. You can just tone like It's very therapeutic. You can do like the buzzing sound, like zzz. Is so healthy for you and your vagus nerve. It's like scientific. It's not about like woo-woo things. It's scientifically very healthy to do this, and that might be what you're missing out on if you're home all day and you feel like, why do I feel off? Like your voice, your toning, your humming, your vocal cords, your vagus nerve. Zzz, okay.
Hey guys, it's me. I'm editing right now. When I was recording this video and I made this entire content, I wasn't taking into consideration that is so deeply ingrained in my personal lifestyle that I just kind of took it for granted that maybe not everybody is prioritizing this from the first place. So one of the main things that you must do when you want to thrive as an introvert, but generally as a human being, is make sure that you get enough exercise every day. And this might be even more important for introverts who kind of stay at home all day, because maybe extroverts go out and about and they're like walking around, meeting people, and like just, they're doing more activities. But if you're the type of person that is super, super grounded at home, you have to make sure you're getting exercise. And you might be thinking you feel crappy because maybe you're not meeting other people, but the real reason why you might start feeling lonely is because you haven't exercised and you're just in a grumpy mood, and then you're looking for reasons why you're in a grumpy mood, but it might be because you're not exercising. You have to exercise. Find the right balance. Just make sure that you're moving plenty throughout the day. Obviously, yoga is amazing. I personally love Ashtanga. That's what works best for me. I love a good power yoga. That's literally like a gym session. I'm always doing yin yoga. I'm always dancing around. I love to walk if that's available. Some parts of the world is not really suitable for walking. For example, in Bali, it's very hard to walk around. Obviously, watch your nutrition. because this isn't just exclusive for introverts, but seriously, if you're not eating well, then you'll find you'll just be in a crappy mood, and it has less to do with your social activities, but it's just foundational. So, and last but not least, you have to get sunlight, but wear sunscreen, because I understand the power of the sun, and some people think that sunscreen is a myth, but listen to me. Our ozone layers are very damaged, so you need to add some extra protection. You can use all natural sunscreen, but just if you want to preserve the youth of your skin, then wear some sunscreen, but make sure you get the sun, because this is more prone to introverts that just stay indoors all day. You need to get the sun, and also fresh air, like just the wind on your face and walking around, and that element really, really helps. It's very foundational, but just remember.
What else? Expanding your comfort levels. So do things that stretch your comfort zones. If you're an introvert and you really get out, you still need to stretch your comfort zones in some way, shape, or form. So do things that make you uncomfortable, try different things, generally find something that would push your comfort zone that you can do at home by yourself. Really assist the dynamic of being alone, having that sense of what brings you playfulness and joyfulness. But again, with the comfort levels, obviously there's other ways to do it. Like taking a cold shower would be one example. Hypoxic breath work would be one example. You know, the one where you hold your breath, you're constantly stretching your comfort zone in that way. Find some way. Like if you're uncomfortable learning a new language, learn a new language. If you're uncomfortable singing, then start singing. Like do something that makes you feel uncomfortable to expand your comfort zone. And that's one of the key kind of things that you can program into your introverted life. And maybe sometimes it means that you go out by yourself and take yourself on a date. Taking yourself on a date is very important. Always take yourself on a date. Take yourself on a date to a really nice restaurant or visit somewhere that you always wanted to visit. Just make that a point as well. I'm going to just fit that into the comfort level one. Okay. And my final tip here is to open your heart and live in your heart. No matter if you're an introvert and extrovert, the core essence that matters the most is to live from an open heart. Your heart is the portal of connection to all of reality. So I don't care if you're even extroverted, you could have 30 hours of socialization per day, which I know there's only 24 hours, but I'm exaggerating. Maybe you're literally socializing for 10 hours a day, but if your heart is not open, if you're not operating from your heart, that's a waste of socialization. It's not about being introvert or extrovert, but it's about how deeply are you in your heart. How deep? So make it a point to open your heart and exist in your heart and live from your heart, resonate in your heart's field truly. And it's a shift in frequency that you'll feel right away when you're in your heart versus not. And it's like, how do you go in your heart? Well, you'll know when you're there. It's like when people ask, how do you know when you're high? Well, you know when you're high. When you're in your heart, you'll know when you're in your heart. And if you're not there yet, then you're not there yet. But just go in your, just become curious. Just figure it out. And allow this to flow naturally. When you live in your heart, you'll naturally attract the highest level connections. Some people say, like, how do you meet new people if you're introverted and you don't really go out? Well, try living in your heart every freaking moment that you can and watch what happens. You'll literally magnetize the most fulfilling connections to you. Just watch. Live in your heart. And when you're doing that, you'll just synchronize these patterns. Like, I remember in one of the years, right? You guys know, most of you know that Lionsgate is my birthday. And for the longest time, because I'm so introverted, like my favorite thing to do to celebrate something is to be alone. And I know people are like, well, you need friends to celebrate your birthday, blah, blah, blah. But like, I would just go to a beautiful location and take myself on a little vacation somewhere and just plan this entire solitude. And just, that would just be the best thing I could think of. And so that's how I would celebrate. And one year, I think it was in I don't know if it was like 2020. I think it might have been 2020 that I went to Uluwatu, which is the south part of Bali, by myself to celebrate my birthday. And I planned this entire thing. And the entire day, just ended up becoming social. And I did not plan that at all. And the universe just, I felt the universe like laughing in joy, like just having this laughter about it as my day unfolded. And I was just like, okay, y'all just have your way. I will socialize then. Just continually kept meeting new people, and the things that I planned to do alone just ended up becoming a group activity with people that I'd never met before. And again, it's not like I continually keep contact with those momentary connections, because I don't really attach myself in that way. And you know, there's never a shortage of these connections. And I think that when people feel like they need to cling on to connections, it's usually from a lack of belief. And I know I'm a very special case because I definitely honor people who have the same friends for like 20 years. It's just not me. I'm just self-aware. Like there's people like that, I honor it. I think it's like, wow, that's fascinating. It's very fascinating to me. Like, wow, you have the same friends for like 15, 20 years. Like, but I just want to deplug everyone from the perspective like that's the definition of loyalty, or that's the definition of a healthy relationship. It's not. It depends on your energetic field. Just like how there's extroverts and introverts, just like how there's vata, kapha, and pitta and tridosha. Like there's just different archetypes of energy, and don't feel like you're weird just because you don't have the same friends for that many years. Like there's nothing wrong with you. You're probably a genetic hybrid, or you probably just like there's like certain types of energy that are like that, and you don't have to feel bad about it. You don't have to feel lonely. If you live in your heart, the universe infinitely creates these connections of true love in every aspect, and you just get to witness it unfold, but you don't try to control it. Like this is a gift from the universe, then you just accept it. Don't push it away being like, well, I'm an introvert. Like receive it. You receive it when they come. And that's what I do. And like that birthday, for example, the Lionsgate birthday that I had in 2020, I just received it. I just received the connection. It's like, okay, you want me to be with people today. I understand. Even though if I were stuck onto my identity of like, well, I just want to be alone. Like, I don't do that. I just let it flow when it flows. Sometimes I come into profound connections. Sometimes I witness it fall away. Sometimes I meet new connections. And honestly, like I met some really profound connections in the last year. And I also had to release some very profound connections last year. And I just allow it to unfold. And as long as I am living in my heart and I'm flowing through from my heart space, the entire field is my divine union, and I don't feel alone, and neither should you. All right, that's pretty much wraps up the entire set of codes that I wanted to share with you through this video. I hope that this has been helpful. Thank you so much for spending this much time with me. Please let me know what you thought about this video or any of the tips that I shared in this video. I know that a lot of you probably resonated with what I said, so I really love to hear your comments down below. And if you have any requests around videos like this that you want to see, any topics, then you can please feel free to let me know. It might be a while for me to be able to respond to your comments because I'm not on social media all the time, but I definitely do take into consideration everything that you say. So know that your comments are deeply respected and appreciated, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye.